Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to Zoroastrians around the world. My name is Farouk Mistry, and I'm delighted to welcome you to a conversation with young Zoroastrian professionals. And our focus today is on being happy as Zoroastrian graduate students away from home. That's the emphasis. We have three panelists, Farzeen Avari, Karishma Koka, and Hoshitar Pollard, and each of them will discuss how you can be happy as a graduate student away from home. The synthesizer is Nazneen Mistry, and we have three young dialogue initiators, Karen Pitawala, Zain Pitawala, and Vispikar Karia. This program is put together under the auspices of the World Zoroastrian Chamber of Commerce, and the emphasis there is entrepreneurship, is the pursuit of opportunity beyond a resources control. We have had a series of webinars. In September, we focused on applying to graduate school in the US and UK. In October, we focused on planning where to study. On November 28th, we focused on getting the most out of the college experience. On December the 19th, we focused on scholarships and funding for higher education. On January, we focused on creating economic, social, and intellectual value. The emphasis was on the difference between Naukri and career. Today, our focus is on being happy as Zoroastrian graduate students away from home. The plan for the conversation today is that there'll be some opening, which is what I'm doing right now. And the panelists will be talking, giving their overview of their careers, their lives, and their advice. And then there'll be, Nazneen will come along and synthesize what has taken place, and Vispi will initiate a dialogue. And then after that, depending on the time we have available, we'll have moderated questions and answers, and some closing remarks from ZFN official panelists and the moderator. We will stop recording, and after the recording has stopped, we will continue for some time. We'll keep the Zoom window open for those who'd like to chat on this topic or something else after the recording is stopped. So what are we about? The World Zarathustra Chamber of Commerce, in partnership with the Zarathustra faculty and academia, envision empowering Zarathustra students to learn how to create economic, cultural, and intellectual value. The focus is on intellectual, economic, and cultural value. And the ZFN mission is limited. It's limited to the following: facilitate Zarathustra youth through higher and specialized education to pursue careers in industry, government, and academia as business entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, and knowledge entrepreneurs. So we are looking for people, or we are looking to empower youth together with their parents to pursue, after they've got their higher degrees, to pursue careers in industry, government, and academia, and as the creators of economic value, social value, and intellectual value. These webinars are conversations to help Zarathustra youth with support of their parents to attain higher and specialized education. This initiative is supported by the R.D. Setna Scholarship Funds and the WZCC ZF Fund. So it is my pleasure now to invite Farzeen Avari as the first panelist to introduce herself and to share with us her views on how to be happy as a Zoroastrian graduate student away from home. Farzeen.
Hi, everyone. I'm Farzeen Avari. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I got my undergraduate degree in psychology from the University of Georgia. I also got a master's degree in science education from Kennesaw State University. Currently, I work as a virtual school teacher at Georgia Connections Academy, and I am also the co-chair of ZINA, the Zoroastrian Youth of North America. You can contact me with my email address here. And We'll change to the next slide, please. In all aspects of my life, whether it be in my personal life or as an educator or as the co-chair of Zina, I am focusing on growing the community. My educational journey starts at home, where education was always the key focus of my household. My parents were always supportive of my learning endeavors, even if we didn't always agree on what I should be studying. I started out my undergraduate degree as a chemistry major in pre-med, and I really enjoyed learning chemistry, but every learning opportunity I found myself teaching in some way. And so I like to say that education chose me. I changed my major and I earned my master's in chemistry education. My motivation for getting a graduate degree was I felt like there's always more to learn and ways to improve your craft. I'm always looking for ways to be a better teacher and help others to improve their craft as well. One day I hope to teach future educators. The best lesson I've learned is the importance in surrounding yourself with kind, compassionate, and intelligent people. When you have a group of people who you can lean on to help you through life's struggles, you're never alone to figure it out on your own. Another lesson I've learned is that it is important to find your passion and find the way that you can contribute to your community. Focusing on my passion helps me live a happy and purposeful life. My circle of friends and my family are vital to a vital part of my happiness, and I enjoy sharing that with them and others around me. When things don't go well, it's important to focus on yourself and think critically on what's not working and how to find a way to pivot to something else that helps fulfill your passion. And as you regroup, I think it's absolutely essential to be kind to yourself. My tips for parents and young Zartustis is to learn from everyone and every opportunity. There are equal opportunities to learn from positive and negative experiences. A second tip is to think intently about your goal. Why did you choose this in the first place? How do you plan on achieving your goal? Make a plan and constantly monitor that plan. Adjust and adapt as necessary. And my last tip is to always remember that you are the company you keep. I always focus on surrounding myself with kind, compassionate, intelligent people because it is these people who help make me a better educator, a better leader, and a better person every day. And next, I will pass it on to Karishma.
Thank you, Farzeen, for that inspirational talk about how teaching can actually help us learn. So I'm Karishma and I'm in London with a PhD in neuroscience and a master's from the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research in Bangalore. My background is broad with environmental science, chemistry, and biology for a basic degree. It has also helped me set up the Ultimate Achievements Academy with my mother, where we are actually consultants for both students and executives. And my passion is to bring people together so that we can empower each other through education and work for the greater good of all. My journey is one, as I see it, from Asha to Ushta. So that as we enjoy what we do, we are actually preparing for life in the now. Developing our mind, as Asho Zarathustra guided, so that we build both skills and credibility, so that we are constantly enjoying that preparation and constantly ready to take the best decisions with the information available, whether in our job, our home, or as we establish and innovate an entrepreneurial adventure. To build happiness and harmony, Ushta. So Asha to Ushta. My own academic journey in the first quadrant on the left, as I look back now, was all about developing the mind through dialogue. A dialogue with my parents and elders and mentors, and a dialogue between different domains. So not blinkered, yet maintaining focus. 4 questions come to mind when we think of what we need to know. We need to know what we need to know. Then we need to know what to know, how we know that. But it's equally important to me to identify with discrimination what we do not know. This is very hard. And the most challenging is what to do about it, where to go to get that information, where to choose a course which will help us enjoy learning and enjoy becoming the person who can then contribute and give back. In the second quadrant, which is the one on the right, the lessons from my academic journey is how do we enjoy developing what Zarathustra Sahib calls our discrimination in Yasnaha 30.3. Growing the skills in order to build knowledge needs to be able to have vision, for which we need to know ourselves. With self-regulation, to make the best decisions with purpose. The concept of developing Kshatra Vairya, the desired strength. In quadrant 3, on being happy as a Zoroastrian, to me, it is knowing that I am as well prepared in the moment as I possibly could be. So that choices can be made that makes other people happy and that makes me happy, in line with the Yasnaha 43.1. Ushta amma yamai, ushta kamai chit. So that when we look at any event, it's like a cup half full rather than half empty. But for me, it's important to be able to evaluate the facts, to know what the actual facts are. So that decisions are made for actions that are as best as possible. The concept of Shyotanana, just action, the best action that helps us help others and ourselves. And I'll be very happy to take any questions on this. Tips for parents and young Zoroastrians only from my journey I can share with you, which is to believe in each other, because that belief and the dialogue, that two-way street with our parents and our elders, helps us be protected, but it also helps us, because what it helps us do is become investable. So that what we do then helps us make the best decisions that are cost effective, that are time effective, that build adaptability with resilience, and help us build knowledge and action based on sharing. So this journey helps us, helps our parents enjoy this journey, and helps us be happy in the long run as we contribute to our family, ourselves, and to a Zartushti organization. So it's very much how to achieve that harmony and happiness for everybody. With that, I'll hand over now to Hosherdar Polad to take us on the next part of this journey. Over to you, Hosherdar.
Thank you very much, Karishma, and good day to everyone present, and thank you very much for coming. My name is Hosherdar Polad, and currently I am located in the Halifax region on the Atlantic coast in Canada. My educational background is I have a bachelor's in the financial markets and a master's in business management from the University of Mumbai, and also have a certification in human resource management from Conestoga Business School out here in Canada. Currently, I work as a human resource advisor at Dalhousie University at the Dallaire Institute of Children, Peace and Security. My passion is investing in the community and especially the youth, and to see them grow. You can definitely contact me anytime if you have any questions after the presentation at my email, and please feel free to link with me on LinkedIn. You can find me by just typing in my name, Hosherdar Polad. Moving on to my presentation today. The topic of my presentation is happy human resources. So professionally, I'm in the field of human resources since the past 10 years, and I will share my journey, my lessons, and some tips to end off my presentation for parents and young Zoroastrians. So let us start off with my academic journey. And one fundamental thing that I always believed in is enjoying the journey. Yes, the destination is the final goal, but it is crucial to enjoy the journey along the way. That is what has got me where I am today. I would say in my bachelor's and master's and also in my business school life. I would say the role of my parents has been very, very essential, and they have been a rock and as steady as a support and a backbone in my journey. My career choice is human resources because I love people, interacting with a lot of diverse people and to see them grow as well. I would say many key influences in my life, professionally and personally, have been a lot of people, but out here I would mention a few are my parents, my professors, industry leaders as well is really important to keep up with the trends, I would say, in the market, and classmates to have a very deep dialogue as well, which I'll be touching upon in my second quadrant. And to top it all off is my religion, which taught me a lot and set the foundation of how I think and what I believe in. Moving on to quadrant 2, lessons from my academic journey. I would say the first point that comes to mind is to be a sponge and to absorb everything that comes your way. And that goes really well with Yasna 30.2. When I say be a sponge, it interlinks with my second point is to listen very well, and not just listen. After listening, even reflect on what you've heard, and then internally analyze or reflect, and then act upon it with your actions. And then in human resources and in my academic journey, understanding other people's point of view was really important. And with that, when you understand people's point of view, how do you do that is by dialogue. And a dialogue is a very deep conversation, and that will deepen the understanding of the subject matter and also of the person you're having a dialogue with. So to summarize my quadrant 2 is be a sponge, listen, reflect, act, and have deep dialogues to understand and respect other people's point of view. Moving on to quadrant 3 on being a happy Zoroastrian. We all know when we migrated from Iran to India, and then the king said he never had space for us. But we said we will be the sugar in the milk and make everything around us sweet. That is a story, I would say, that reflects on us being happy Zoroastrians, and especially me. And the second point I would like to make is share even when you do not have an abundance is what my community has taught me all throughout my life. And people ask me, are you happy all the time? I would say, yes, it's a point of view. And what do you do when things don't go well? I would say, be adaptive. Again, linking to 30.2 that has taught us. I would say change is the only constant, and being adaptive is very crucial out here. Moving on to being flexible. I would say in your journey, in your timelines, in your goals, you can definitely plan something, but something might not be going according to plan. And my last point is to always be positive, because that is life and life can happen. To conclude my presentation in quadrant 4 on tips for parents and young Zoroastrians. To start off my point, I truly believe in never compare yourself with others because you are very unique. But when I say that, you should also keep in mind to always keep on growing, keep on learning, and keep on improving yourself internally. I would say upskilling your talent is really important in academics as well as your personal and professional life. Point number 2, or the tip number 2 I would like to give is happiness comes when you give. And that is what I have learned. And it comes when you share. But if we step back and understand the joy of receiving is really important, that is when you will actually learn the happiness when you give to others, is when you learn the joy of receiving as well. And to conclude, harmony with purpose is really, really important in anything you do. Definitely being happy is essential, but if it is with a purpose that you truly believe in, would be really, really magnificent. So with that, thank you very much again. And I would like to now pass it on to our synthesizer, Nazneen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hoshidar. So I'm Nazneen Mistry, and I'm currently located in Houston, Texas. I've pursued my Bachelor's of Commerce and Master's of Commerce Part 1 from the University of Mumbai in India. And I also pursued my Master's of Financial Analysis from Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey. I'm currently working as a financial analyst at Kershaw Khambara PLLC, and I'm here to assist the youth to achieve their goals. On the left-hand corner, you would see my contact details. You can reach out to me for sure by that. And today I'm going to synthesize about what our three speakers spoke about. That was Farzeen spoke about growing the community. Karishma spoke about enjoy what you do and prepare for life. And Hoshida spoke about being a happy human resource. So as Farzeen mentioned, you are but a manifestation of the company you keep, the people you surround with. She also shares her talent by teaching teachers, like Ahura must have a lot of wisdom. And she also mentioned, don't be afraid to pivot. She also said that learning should be a constant. And next I'll go on to Karishma. She mentioned about the question matters in the quest of Ahura, Asha, the truth and progress, self-regulation in all aspects of life, and progress and growth is equal to happiness. Next, Hoshidar mentioned that learn to accept both your highs and lows of life. As per the Yasna 30.2, be a sponge, absorb, reflect, and act, like being the sugar in the milk. And harmony with purpose only comes with dialogue. The last quote I just want to mention to all of the students who are living away from home to be the best part to happiness is learning to change as rapidly as life does. And that was said by Miguel Ruiz. And next, I would like to, we'll be coming up and opening up the questions for clarification to the panelists. And next, I would like to hand it over to Wispy, who is going to be initiating the dialogue with his colleagues. Thank you.
Thanks, Nazneen. Now, as we move on, first we will introduce the three dialogue initiators. First is Karen, and she is currently pursuing her bachelor's in computer engineering at NMIMS University in India. Second, we have Zian, who is pursuing his BSc in biochemistry from the University of Delhi, and he is interested in pursuing a PhD in computational biology. And third, myself, Wispy, and I am currently pursuing my PhD at the Northwestern University in US. So I invite Karen to ask her question.
Farzeen, could you please share why it is important to be a part of community?
Thank you. So for me, being part of a community is important because we can't do everything ourselves. Just like we have the government help support us and building roads to our house and providing us with running water. We need different people in different parts of our community to help support us in our journey. And it's really important to find those people who are being supportive of you, who are willing to listen, who are willing to provide their advice, and to listen and to learn from each one of those people. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I invite Zian to ask his question.
My question is directed to Hoshida. Please share with us some of the examples of what makes you happy.
Oh, definitely. As I mentioned, investing in the community makes me happy. And I would say definitely uh, in human resources, especially looking at people grow, I would say hiring the right people at the right time for the right position and seeing them grow within the organization makes me happy. So thank you very much for that question.
Thanks, Hoshidar. Now, I would ask Karishma to please share with us an experience that you most enjoyed in college.
Thank you, Vespi, and thank you for coordinating today. During my bachelor's degree, what I enjoyed was going beyond the basic prescribed course and making time to do what we used to call honors programs. So I did 3, one every year, in completely different areas. So I did genetics, organic chemistry, computational mathematics, things like that, which were very different from my basic course. In my master's, it is a very great challenge when a supervisor actually leaves and goes back from India to the United States, because the lady was not happy with how things had worked out for her. And I had to, after 9 months, change my course. So in the Gathas, Asho Zarathustra says in Yasnaha 30.3, which is the one after what Hoshedar mentioned, Osha Hudongo Eresh Vishyata, help me to develop my ability to discriminate so that I can choose the right path. And initially it's a great challenge, but then when we look back, it brings us happiness. And then with my PhD, it was the greatest joy was when I started teaching and saw the joy in people learning how to learn, whatever the different course. So I started teaching medical students, and that sharing of learning to learn so that we are best prepared for what comes ahead was simply wonderful. Thank you for that question, Vispi.
Thank you. Now I invite Karen. Karen, you are on mute.
Could you please share how can we build connections with people?
So just as I am looking for people to help mentor and support me, I think it's really important to make sure that you are contributing to your relationships. And when somebody is going out of their way to help you, you find a way to help them as well. So for me, when I find people who can be supportive and be part of my network, my community, to help support me through my journey, I always reach out to them on their birthday, reach out to them at holidays, just to say hi, how are you? How are you doing? And that gives me a chance to start a conversation with people. It also gives me a chance to get to know them. And through that conversation, if I find something that I can do to help them, I will offer my services as well. So it's a really good question. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Now Zian will ask his question.
Please share with us some examples of harmony and purpose.
Oh, yes, definitely. Thank you for that question again. And I would say harmony with purpose is really, really important for, I would say, as I mentioned before, the internal happiness of a person and the growth of a person, I would say, personally and professionally. So I would say when an example of that comes professionally, when you are choosing your work or the company to work for, your values and your internal beliefs should definitely mirror them with the vision and mission of the company you're working for. So I believe that is really important whenever you are trying to choose your career. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, Karishma, can you please share with us how you coped with tough times in your graduate studies?
Thank you, Vispi. The greatest challenge at graduate school is when one's supervisor is very senior and decides to travel to give lectures in a different part of the world. I floundered and I had to rely upon my parents and the concept of dialogue. Luckily, both my parents in their own ways were able to contribute guidance and mostly questions. So I would ask a question, they would ask me and help me to see the path forward. So as Nazdeen mentioned, she said, the concept that I mentioned was questioning all matters. So in the Gathas, Asho Zarathustra says, question all matters, but why? Vispata peresas achat chitacha. For the sake of finding the righteous path, the path that will bring righteousness to everyone, Gam Vidat. And that I found my parents were able to give me, but more by listening to my questions and giving me questions that made me reflect and think. And the team between our mentors, our parents, and us that we can then ask in order to go forward is a great learning experience. So a challenge that converts into preparing us for the future. Thank you, Vispi.
Thank you very much. Now, Karen, please ask your question.
Farzin, could you please share with us how do you effectively manage maintaining your network with community?
I spoke a little bit about this earlier. I try to reach out to people at different points of the year, not necessarily only when I need help. And I always try to have a conversation with what's going on with your life, what is new, how can I help? And I think that's really helpful. But I also try to engage various people in different activities. For example, the career counselor at my college has come to speak to my students about how to write a resume. My former students have come back to my classroom to speak about their careers and their transition from high school to college to the workforce. So I think it's really important to stay connected with people and to make sure that you're using all of those resources to help support everybody. Thanks.
Thank you. Now I invite Zian to ask his question.
Please share with us how to be internally happy without comparing ourselves to others.
Yes, thank you again for the question. I would say internal happiness comes from within and self-reflection is key. I would say once my very, very interesting professor told me there is no upper limit in life to anything. So finding internal happiness and the joy is an answer which you'll get from self-reflection. And when I say without comparing yourself with others, as I mentioned, improving on yourself is important. Without comparing yourself with others is key. And the purpose and your values will give you internal happiness, is what I completely believe in. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, Karishma, can you please share with us your sources of motivation through life?
Vispi, my parents, definitely, but also my mentors, those people who have facilitated my journey, my teachers, yes, my supervisors, yes, but also, for example, on this call, you see people who have facilitated my journey, whether it's Mr. Meher Amalzad, Farooq Mistry, Yazdi Tantra, Adel. These are the people who motivate me through their own life experiences, their journeys. And in addition to that, as we read the Gathas, we see that what we have faith in is actually a huge knowledge resource. Before the world knew that the world revolved and the earth rotated, it's in the Gathas. We say Azi Gava for the earth revolved. We say Skerenayo, the word from which the word screw comes. So a huge motivation exists All we have to do is to look. As Hoshirdar said, we need to be able to reflect. We need to be able to listen. So today we've had some fantastic things and your questions have really helped me reflect. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I invite Farooq to continue.
This is a time when we go into dialogue with the community. So anybody who'd like to share their thoughts and would like to, or may wish to ask a question, please feel free to do so. Keep the question short. We'd like to go through as many as possible, and please keep the answers short. And so with that, who'd like to start?
Faridun has put up his hand.
Yes, Faridun, go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank everybody. It was an excellent session. Everybody shared, questions were excellent. And I appreciate it all. I do want to, there were a couple of things that Karishma said that resonated with me really well. She mentioned that teaching is an excellent way of learning. And I have to fully agree with that. I would go further and I would say teaching is the best way of learning. Because when you teach, not only do you have to understand the material, but you have to imagine all the questions that might be asked that have not occurred to you and find an answer to those. So you really have to learn your subject in far more depth than you would otherwise in order to teach. And that is why it's the best tool to learn teaching. She also mentioned the pursuit of knowledge and gaining knowledge. And this is in Zoroastrianism, pursuing knowledge and gaining knowledge is fundamental. It is the absolute necessary step, and it is a first step, an absolute necessary step for one to gain armaiti. And without gaining knowledge, without analyzing that knowledge, as Hoshidar put it, you cannot achieve armaiti. Of course, there's other steps, but I'll leave that to that. And basically, I wanted to thank everybody. Excellent session. I'm impressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Faridun. Anybody else? Jolly? Beram? Good. Adel? You're muted, Adel.
To ask a question to Hoshidar. Hoshidar, you mentioned a couple of times harmony with progress. Purpose, which is very important. But sometimes in different environments, especially nonprofits, people go all the way and work on trying to get harmony at any cost. And I'd like you to sort of differentiate the two, you know.
Yes, thank you very much for the question. I hope I understood it well. But yes, definitely. I have majority of my career worked with nonprofits, and I would say that gives a lot of purpose when you work for a nonprofit. But balancing out, I would say, the right from the wrong and black from the white is really important. So I would say doing the right thing at the right time, but also analyzing the other person's point of view is really important, especially in the diverse environment we are living in, and also the cultures that come together, especially in this remote environment. So yes. Any follow-up? I hope I answered that. Yes. Thank you.
Well, let me jump in here. What Idil has asked is a very important question. Harmony for the sake of harmony. And one of the things that we've heard some of our elders talk about in the Zoroastrian community is let's have harmony for the sake of harmony. And the way in which it can backfire in the sense that if you just go for harmony, you may be going for the lowest common denominator. So it works well when you have people who are aspiring to a higher level, when the community is aspiring to a higher level, then that harmony is worth seeking. But if you have a community that says, no, don't change anything, don't make anything happen, and you have harmony for the sake of harmony because one person is objecting to it, then I don't think we can make progress. For example, in the government right now in the United States, we have people objecting and saying, no, no, no to anything, and then saying you haven't made progress. So that is what I think Idil is getting at. So somebody else had a hand up. I may have missed it. Karishma?
Thank you,
Jarul,
Farooq.
sorry. Yeah.
Thank
Go
you,
ahead, Jarul.
Farooq. When I think about Hoshidar's question, I see it as the concept of the holistic progress with achievement in it. But as Behram often says, as others have often said, but Behram has focused upon, is that the process matters. The outcome will happen. And in that process, we have a guidance of Fresho Kerati. So to go forward for what is right. So harmony, not at any cost, but harmony with a purpose, as Adel has said, so that it achieves. And at the end of it all, it needs to be sustainable. So today, sustainability, being carbon neutral or having zero or circular economy are all very nice things to hear, but they're fundamental to sustainability. And in sustainability, it's a concept of amerata, that which sustains through time. So when we talk about ushta or harmony, there is the governing factor, and that is whatever we're working for is for the progress of the world, progress of the company, progress of the organization, and progress of the individual. Works at all the levels. Therefore, it is harmony with Asha, of course, but it is harmony that will result in sustainability. And Adel has run companies very successfully. He has mentored other people and passed this knowledge on. And in that sense, not just the company that he has run has been sustainable, but his knowledge is sustainably progressing forward. And we have with us on this call Dolly Dastu, who has done this at an organizational level to share knowledge through organizing the sharing of written material through the Fazana Journal. So, I mean, there could be some added value if we could hear Auntie Dolly.
Open for comments.
I have a question. Could I ask a question?
Certainly.
No, to any of the panelists or anybody on this call, actually, we often talk about passion, to have passion. We talk about purpose, passion, patience, providence, persistence. Is there a downside risk to passion? Can passion in something sometimes not very clearly thought through, can it throw you over the cliff?
I'd like to answer. So for me, teaching is my passion, and it's the thing that helps me get through a bad day. When there is something really challenging, I remember how many students that I'm reaching. But in this current teaching climate, it is becoming increasingly hard to sustain that movement. And so it is often something that causes me great anxiety as well, trying to keep up with everything, trying to make sure that I am keeping up with the latest ideas in education. So focusing solely on something that you're passionate about can be detrimental. And what I've learned to do is when I'm not happy with a situation, I find a way to pivot and to do something different. I started teaching face-to-face, and about a year before the pandemic, I found a virtual teaching position. I'm much happier in this position than I have been otherwise. I have a better work-life balance at the school. And so while everybody in my life was telling me, I'm not sure that you want to do this. Why would you want to be a virtual educator? And it has really saved my sanity in some ways through this position. So it's my 2 cents.
Any other comments? Other panelists?
Yes, I would like to great point about passion, and especially I would say, so to link it with what Karishma said, sustainability is really important. I know passion, to be passionate is really great, but sometimes passion burns out the person and also has negative effects on people around them. So being passionate is great, but you should also keep in mind how your passion for an individual person is affecting their environment around them. So when I say environment, it could be a professional environment, your personal environment, your relationships as well. So definitely passion brings a lot of focus, but focus also sometimes blinds people in the environment. So I would like to summarize sustainable passion for a really long time is I would say the way forward for everyone.
Anybody else?
There
I
are.
would
Okay.
I'd like to
Adel.
go one step further. Almost everything that you do, and you have to guard against your strengths often become your weaknesses. So no matter what it is, if you overdo it, hubris develops, you get overconfident, and that is lethal. So you have to be careful that you don't overdo any of your strengths.
Karishma?
Darren, that was a phenomenal point you brought up. And it relates in my mind to something Adel and Farooq both have said. Adel has often said, let us stoke the fire in the belly of others also. So it's not just about one person's passion. It's also so that it balances or harmonizes, like the concept that was brought out earlier, with the passions of other people so that we can go forward together. And as Farooq has often said, happy people are successful. So it's passion that can bring happiness with harmony. So it's in balance. So I suppose all the concepts that everybody has sort of brought up can create the waft and the weave of a tapestry that relates to a beautiful picture. So thank you for that question. As we say in the Atishnyas, we say, Ushmo yuzarishwa ora, shine the light and purify me. So that light or that passion or that fire is what will take us forward. Erezush sava. So take us forward, show us the path forward, rather than, as Hoshidar says, it could also burn us out. Thank you, Behram.
Great. So
Hey,
now
I'm sorry,
Go
I
ahead.
just had a thought, and it's I will admit this is not very well thought through, but the thought is if you're passionate about the wrong thing, what then? For instance, if somebody is passionate about warmongering, I mean that is not a good thing in anybody's dictionary. What then? I mean, then passion is just drudge. It's a bad thing. It's the opposite of good. It was just a thought. I mean, passion, yes, passion about what you believe in and going forward with it and having other people trying to convince other people, or using your passion to understand other people is a good thing. But if your passion is destruction, then it can possibly, I cannot see a good thing in it. So just a thought.
You're quite right. You're quite right, Faridun. You're absolutely right. And in Zoroastrianism, we are told that what we have to do is to do things and be passionate about things that promote Aura Mazda's kingdom. So that is the guideline we have been given. And yes, human beings can be passionate about things that do not promote Aura Mazda's kingdom, and they have to be responsible for their actions if they did indeed take that action. And that is taken care of at the Chingwat pool, where all the good things you've done and all the bad things you've done get looked at, and the soul goes either into heaven or hell or whatever people believe in. So in Zoroastrianism, a boundary has been placed around this notion of passion, and that boundary is that what you do needs to promote Aura Mazda's kingdom. So yes, you can say, I want to be a warmonger, but then you're responsible for that action, and you may have to pay for it at the end of time, at the end of your life. So in Zoroastrianism, there is that balance, and there is that notion of having a guardrail telling people this is what you should be thinking about.
Farooq, I would like to engage you in a conversation about what you just said, but it's going to be time consuming. So I'm going to leave it for the end of this session. If you have time, I would love to engage you.
So with that, let's move on to the closing session. So firstly, closing statements.
I think it's really important for you to find those people who help support you and build your own community. I think you need people within every sphere to help support you. My parents are a big part of that. My friends are a big part of that. I find professional mentors who can help me in my educational endeavors. And I think it takes people from every aspect of your life to help build that community for yourself.
Karishma.
So the purpose of the Zoroastrian Faculty Network is the overlap of the three domains, the intellectual, the social, and the economic aspects of gaining an education, becoming very adept at what we do. So choosing the space that we seek our education in, getting the right scholarships, being happy away from home, which is the title of this talk. And then there is a sweet spot in the middle, the synergy of these three domains. So as we are happy away from home, we are able to build our skills so that the synergy of what we have, our purpose, our passion, our skill set, can enable us to give back to the community, the mentors who have taught us, our parents who have made that journey possible, and then advance that self-regulated journey towards contributing to the world and advancing that. So in that context, do get back to me if you need any help with finding scholarships, choosing universities, or making the best of wherever you are through extra courses and projects.
Oh yes, my closing statements would be, it was a fantastic seminar, and I would say the last couple of questions were really great, and Sunday well spent. And I would say if anybody would like to connect and would need any other sessions as well, especially focusing on human resources, I would be very happy to take that as well. So thank you very much, everybody, for your time and coming out.
Yes.
Yeah, wonderful session once more. To continue the dialogue, we can always log into the Zoroastrian Faculty Network.org. All our past recordings are available there and also on our Facebook page. So keep in touch and get more and more people involved. Thank you.
I wish to thank the panelists and the people who attended today and participated in the conversation. And it is my pleasure to invite Mer to say a few words. Mer Amal.
First of all, thank you very much for the excellent presentation made by our superstars today. The focus was on happiness, and to me, happiness comes through goodness, which resides in the consciousness of righteousness that brings oneness. That is the spiritual essence of the Ashem Bahu prayer. Now, having said that, Farzeen mentioned about live a life of purpose. What a wonderful way to express herself. The purpose of life, it truly is to live a life of purpose. She also said, be kind to your mind. That only happens when you learn to mind your mind. Karishma said that she is talking about the journey of Asha to Ushta, righteousness to happiness. And she emphasized on know yourself. Well, in my personal understanding, there are 3 domains of knowing. You know that you know that you don't know, and you don't know that you don't know. And creativity lies in the 3rd domain. True happiness comes when we tap into that 3rd domain of not knowing what we don't know. Having said that, Hoshadar, he mentioned some amazing aspects of happiness. He said passion is investing in the community. I would like to say that I truly admire your spirit of compassion. You also mentioned about, you also mentioned about passion. There was a lot of discussion about passion today. One thing is important to understand, that we enjoy life when we give with passion and live with compassion. If we have compassion, then a lot of things works out very well in our lives. You also talked about sweetness that brings happiness. Well, I understand that sweetness helps you to butter the bitter until it becomes better. And if you understand that, then you can be the sugar in the milk of others that Ushadar talked about. Ushadar also mentions a very important point about listen, not just to respond, but also to understand. Very, very important point. Listening to the words is just not the case. You also have to listen to the heart. And that is what he was trying to emphasize. And I want to really, really commend him for bringing that aspect of happiness. Having said that, the whole purpose was to focus on education with elation in a new nation. So what is that exactly? Well, that comes by understanding the difference between intellectual education and spiritual education. Intellectual education helps us to make a living. Spiritual education helps us to build a life. Intellectual education builds knowledge. Spiritual education cultivates knowing. That helps to build wisdom with that knowledge. Knowledge has power. Wisdom makes it powerful. Knowledge is precious. Wisdom is priceless. In this wisdom lies the seed of happiness. Having said that, I do want to emphasize on one aspect of understanding that education is a transition, not a destination. It is based on collaboration, not competition. So how do we do that? It is by understanding that determination is a part of education. And if you want to breed happiness in life, that determination has to come through inspiration, not indoctrination. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, everybody. Yasti, if you could stop recording, then I think we can go into the dialogue mode with the community. Thank you, Mayor, very much indeed. This was brilliant.